All right, everybody, we're back for another episode today of Brushing Them Back with Kobe White. We were able to get Kobe out of Florida before the hurricane hit. He is actually in Marion County, Mississippi right now, and probably glad to be here at this point. Kobe, how you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. Glad to be home. Weather's cooling down. It's a good feeling.
Well, for those that are interested, the arm's doing fine, but he decided to roll his ankle, so we can't keep him patched up enough to pitch. So, Kobe, let's jump right into it today, my brother. Tell us about this amazing guest you brought to the show today.
Well, I run into this guy at Mississippi State, and he obviously had a huge part in the pitching staff, also with the hitters too. But just really, for me personally, first take at actually getting some numbers on different things with pitching and helping me kind of understanding it, getting video to us. Does a whole lot more than that. He's now working with Rapsodo, one of the biggest companies that there is as far as in the baseball world. And I actually got a Rapsodo and got set up. He helped me a ton with that too. But welcome, Mr. Justin Aguiar. Sorry.
No worries, man. Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited.
So,
Justin, we're sorry about that, Justin. We practiced it before we got started. He still screwed it up. So
all good. Hey, I've heard worse.
so
Justin, yes.
So pre Mississippi State, can you kind of take us through you as a kid? Were you always a big baseball guy? Did you grow up playing? Did you, when did you realize you wanted to be tied in with baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Atlanta in the 90s. So it was, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, Chipper Jones, Tom Glavine. It was really hard not to be a baseball fan growing up. And, if you didn't want to be Chipper Jones, you wanted to be Andrew Jones, or you wanted to be all those guys. I wore number 10 because I wanted to be Chipper, So I loved baseball my whole life. My dad's side of the family came from Cuba. So obviously there's a huge baseball heritage there as well. So I think it was just kind of, with having family that had a big love for baseball and then just living in a great city during a great time for baseball.
Gotcha. So born and raised Atlanta, where did you end up? Where did you end up going to college, and what was your plans initially? Was it always you were going to get into this, or how did that kind of start off?
Yeah, I think it really was. I was always going to be in some sort of sports technology, sports video. When I was in high school, it was my sophomore year, I started working with my high school football team, helping them with game video, practice video. So being up in the big scissor lift back behind the goalposts, getting O-line video and stuff like that. And just really enjoyed it. Enjoyed the, still being around sports, but also being around technology. My dad worked in IT, so I was kind of had a good mix, I guess, of sports and technology always, just in the house. And so being able to kind of do that for, getting in as far as high school was kind of opened my eyes to different possibilities, different things that might be available to me, and figured, hey, college programs might need some help. So my mom went to Auburn and my stepdad went to Mississippi State. So those were the first two schools that I reached out to as far as, hey, I'm looking to do, the similar kind of stuff with the athletic department, whether it's, football, basketball, baseball, and came down to visit Starkville. And that was came down for a Super Bulldog weekend. And they were playing Florida. And so it was packed house in the old Duty Noble with all the rigs still and everything. And it was love at first sight for me, just the ballpark and the fans and everything. And just being around campus, and it's a cliche. People always say, oh, I felt like I was at home, but I really did. I felt like it was just the right place for me. And so got to campus in 2011 at Mississippi State, did my first semester. I worked with the football program and then jumped over to baseball and never left. So I was there for all my undergrad.
That's a good place. I mean, I can imagine, like you said, feeling welcome. Man, everybody's so nice, that fan base and everything surrounding that. It's hard to go there and say you didn't have a good time or didn't enjoy your time there.
For sure.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then after undergrad at State, got a chance to go, and that's really where I kind of found my footing, I guess, when I was there. As an undergrad with, sports, technology and all that, especially with baseball. There's a guy that I forget. He's gonna kill me now for not knowing the name of the school he's at now. He's at a small school, but Tyler Jeske is his name. I'm gonna give him a shout out if he ever catches this. But that's the guy that I really credit with, really lighting that fire for me in getting into this. Taught me a lot, just about what it takes, and how important it is. He's a reason why I got a chance to work with the Texas Rangers for 2 seasons in their minor league system. And then finished up my second season with the Rangers and wanted to go back to school. Really wanted to go just get my degree, get my master's, but also wanted to see if I could help out a baseball program with just the knowledge that I had now from being on the pro side. And first call I made was to Mississippi State, so got to go back there as a GA for 18 and 19, which is obviously, Colby, where you and I crossed paths.
Yeah.
And the reason that when you came back to finish your graduate work, you're also one of the intricate reasons that Mississippi State won a national championship in baseball. Isn't that correct?
I don't want to take a lot of credit for that, but there were guys that were on that team that I did help. I helped the coaching staff that was there that won it. The guys that were running all the technology and stuff, they worked under me when I was a GA. So I guess I had some of my fingerprints were on it, but nothing crazy.
Well, what's so crazy to me about it is, like, when I first stepped foot at State, everything just seemed way over my head, like everything. And then we started talking with stuff and started hearing a bunch of technology and terms and stuff like that. And I was like, this is complex, but if you go to putting this stuff into play, it changes a picture. I know you talked with Ethan a ton before I got there too, and obviously when I was there. And then he turns out to be a first rounder, which he's obviously a very good pitcher to begin with. But you see the stuff he has, and it's like, man, there's something to that,
Yep.
So.
Yep. There's a fun memory I have. We were sitting. This would have been fall ball in 18. And we're sitting there, and it's how it is. It's cold, and no one really wants to be out there. We're all sitting back behind a screen behind home plate. I'm charting the game, and Keegan James is sitting next to me, and Ethan's getting guys to swing and miss on stuff that's like 85, 86, just in the zone. And Keegan sitting next to me goes, "How does he do that? I don't get it." And this was right when we started digging into more of the numbers and all that, and so. Being able to understand, well, it's because his 86 right now in the cold looks like it's about 90 trying to get on guys. And he's just got a weird delivery anyway, too. So that obviously affects things.
Exactly.
I got a side question I want to ask before we jump deep into the technology part of this.
Sure.
When you were growing up, were you an athlete that had like an interest in tech, or were you always a tech guy that was just intrigued by the athletic arena?
Yeah, I was always in technology. Just had an interest in sports. So I played little league and all that kind of stuff, but it was never a thing that I was like, oh, I'm going to be a pro or I'm going to be a college player. It just was a perfect storm of playing a bunch of computer games and video games, understanding how to break all that stuff down, and then like, oh, what I like, I can pay attention to sports and understand it more so than just watch it and be like, oh, that's what that's what a home run is, that's what a single is. It's like actually figuring out what's happening in in the integral part of the game.
Yeah, like what you just said with that side of it, you can know as much about technology and stuff as you want, but if you don't have that baseball knowledge there, it's going to be hard to kind of apply it. And that's what I got to noticing with talking with you is like, hey, this ain't just another guy that understands numbers and computers and stuff like that. He knows the game. And that's when it gets big, is when you can say, okay, this guy understands the game aspect of it, but he also understands, okay, this is how this is supposed to work. This is the movement on this. This,
Yep.
And that's what's pretty cool. So taking another little side track, how did Rapsodo come about? How did that process go?
Yeah, so we get back from Omaha in 19, and I still had a couple weeks left in Starkville before I needed to bounce. So during that time, I was just kind of looking around, trying to see whether I was going to be brought on full time or in some capacity at Mississippi State, but then also just looking for other opportunities, whether it was pro ball or something like that. So I'm sitting there making dinner. I was making pasta. And the reason I remember it is because it's just so vivid in my head. I'm making pasta. I'm waiting for water to boil and everything. And I'm just on my phone, just scrolling through Twitter. And Rapsodo had tweeted out that they had some job openings. So I was like, okay, and we worked with the Rapsodo technology at State. So I was like, well, let me give it a shot. Let me see what they have. And they had a couple positions that I was interested in. So just threw my name in there, sent my resume, and then I've been here now for 3 years. So it obviously worked out well for me.
Oh yeah, and that is based out of St. Louis, Missouri, correct?
Yep. The U.S. office that we have that does all like the big stuff as far as the sales and marketing and all that kind of stuff. We have it's a global, really a global company. When you break down the different offices.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is something that would be against what Rapsodo has or whatever. If it is, obviously, you ain't got to answer this question. But could you take the audience kind of through a day-to-day on what your job is?
Sure. So right now I'm actually going through a move within the company to a new position. So I'm going to be a product manager for us. I was previously an account manager where I was helping out all of our D1 college baseball programs just with getting set up with technology, answering questions, all that kind of stuff for them. But now I'll be working with our cloud product, which is kind of where all the data goes. That's where all of our analytics come from, all of our breakdowns and things like that. So I'll be working on that. But really a day-to-day for us, like just in the office, we have kind of between like our product team is, we have guys that come in and it's strictly product testing, whether it's current stuff or stuff that we have, coming down the pipeline. And they go in, and we got guys that can actually throw, which is nice. You don't have to worry about trying to get some office people to go in and try to throw strikes. We have a guy that he actually played at Delta State for a couple of years, and then a guy that was in the Cardinals organization for a couple of years as a minor leaguer. So those guys help out a ton with our testing. So they go in and test the hardware, and then we check after the fact when it gets all uploaded to the cloud. Right? Does it look good? First of all, does everything transfer over right? And then just checking out everything, making sure everything's functioning smoothly. That's kind of the main, like the, almost like quality assurance side of things. And then there's the kind of new features and things that we're working on where, the team that does a lot of our development over in Turkey, they will work on a bunch of stuff, and then they send it over to us, and we check it all out, make sure it looks good, and then we, fine tune it. We make tweaks here and there. So it's kind of just a pinging back and forth between, our development teams, across, we have our team in Turkey that, like I said, does all of our like software and cloud stuff. That's the team I work with mostly. And then we have our actual hardware development team that's out in Singapore. So and then we have a team that just, or an office that just opened up in Japan. So time zones and scheduling calls can get difficult. Our 8 a.m. is there for 5 p.m. or something like that. So, but it's fun. I will say it's fun, but it's definitely talking about not having the baseball side of things and just being tech smart. I run into that on a pretty regular basis with the team that works overseas.
Exactly.
I'm not going to say. I don't even know how I want to ask this question. You hear the term "dumb jock" all the time, so I was going to ask it. I'm going to ask it this way: there's a lot of intelligent young men and young women that play athletics today, but when you go to explaining all this technology to them, do you run into some issues where they look at you like you're speaking another language or you're from another planet? Or
yeah, definitely. There's definitely some of that, and that's where, to Colby's point, having that understanding of the game and being able to translate all this stuff into not even simpler terms, but just like baseball specific or terms or things that we're just used to hearing, right? So when we talk about like Colby's fastball, we can sit there and say, oh, it's got this many inches of induced vertical break and it's spinning at this much at this efficiency. Or when you sit there and say, hey, Colby's fastball just really rides up on the zone. It's got a lot of good life to it. And both sides, whether it's the tech guys or the guys that have been in baseball, you're going to get the same definition. You're going to understand what Colby's fastball does, regardless of what side of the aisle in that term that you're on. And that's where, again, I just have I love having that aspect, in my head where I can sit there and break it down like that. I just think, it makes talking to anybody in baseball, anybody that has any sort of understanding or lack thereof of technology in the sport, you can still have a full-on conversation and actually get something out of it.
Exactly.
That first part you was talking about with the induced vertical spin, I thought you were from NASA. Thank God you used some terms I've actually heard before to him.
Exactly.
Well, man, this is a little off, I guess, kind of your story, but this is just some analytical stuff. Can you kind of explain briefly the different kind of fastballs, like the what you would kind of see on a good four seam induced vertical break? Because I feel like in the next year or two, every game you watch, there's going to be those metrics up there by the radar gun. It's not just going to be a 94-mile-an-hour pitch. It's going to say four seam with this much X-axis, this much Y.
Right. Yeah, you're what we think of now with a four seam, like your guys like Garrett Cole and Verlander and all that. Really what you're looking for is, if you think about like the hands on a clock, right? So like 12 o'clock is spinning just perfect backspin, right? And as you get, further away from that, you get more side spin. As long as that you keep that ball spinning, on its axis, consistently, you don't have like some sort of alterations with how you're letting it go out of your wrist or out of your hand rather. So like a four seam, you're really looking at with, induced vertical break is really 18 inches and up. That's really when you're in that elite category. And so it's not even so much about just pure like velocity or spin rate. Obviously, both of those things play a huge role in it, but they play together. So you can have a guy that maybe doesn't throw as hard. Maybe it's like league average fastball stuff, which is like 93 right now, but maybe he can spin it at a much higher rate. And so if he can keep that, pure backspin to it, that's going to make that carry. And so, talking about guys that have, that elite level stuff, I think Colby, we had you up there in the 18, 19 range at state, cracked 20, I think a couple times. And not to one up you, but I think Ethan Small still holds the record. I think we got him at like 23 something, 23.5. So
yeah. Well, when you see that fastball, man, I mean, he can throw however hard he wants to, and they're not going to hit it.
Exactly. And that's what we like. It's like those invisibles, right? Like it just gets on you, and all of a sudden you think that ball's going to drop down a little bit in the zone, and all of a sudden it's still up at your chin, and you're still swinging and missing at it.
So speaking kind of watering it down a little bit, when it says 18, 19 inches of induced vertical break, is that technically it fighting gravity that many inches higher? Okay.
Yeah. So the best way to think about it is, say you took that same pitch, like from a release point, so same release point, same everything, same, axis, right? But it had no spin, right? And then the pitch that was actually thrown. So if you plotted those two pitches where they ended up, the pitch that was thrown would be 18 inches higher than the one that had no spin. So it does, though, have to deal with the ball and how it's fighting gravity and how much it's able to stay up and not dip. We all experience physics on a day-to-day basis. We can sit here and if you have a pen and you drop it on the floor, okay, it's going to fall and it's going to hit the ground at this time. We know, like, we see it. But we're not going to sit there and say, oh, well, it fell at, how many meters per second and all that good stuff. We're not going to dig into that. So that's why those pitches, play so well, because we're just, hitters are just seeing that pitch. And it's like, okay, I know it's going to end up around this area of the zone. So I'm going to kind of set my sights there. And then you go to swing, and now you're up under it because it stayed up just that extra couple inches that you weren't expecting.
And I think it's funny, and it's just a comment, I guess, not even a statement, but the whole time I was growing up, there was this saying, he better keep that ball down.
Yep. Hit the string, right?
Yeah. And it was like my whole career when I threw a fastball high, junior college, high school, whatever, they didn't hit it.
Nope.
Everybody go after the game or whatever, be talking, like, you better be careful leaving that ball up. They're going to hit that ball hard, Like, well, if I throw it down, they hit it. If I throw it up, they don't.
Right.
And then now we have numbers to suggest the reasons why that happens, which is pretty cool. I mean, obviously, I didn't know anything about that. I still don't fully understand it, but and then what's cool to me on that same topic, talking about the carry, I got into pro ball and got to talking with guys, and they were saying, man, if you have carry, it's higher up on the y-axis. Get you a breaking ball with depth, so you have bigger separation between the two.
Exactly.
And then when you start talking about stuff at that level, like, yeah, I mean, you could dig into it a whole lot more complex than what I'm saying there, but heck, that makes perfect sense. If the barrel's coming through there flat, you want as big of a separation between the two as you can.
Exactly. And that's what I always, when I look at, whenever I have someone that sends me a report, right, and they're like, hey, can you break down, my fastball and my curveball, right? First thing I look at is how much separation, or like, is it a mirrored image almost, where I take the fastball and I can just flip it over and the curveball be there. And if it's not, if the curveball's a little bit higher up, closer to the middle, it's like, okay, we got to work on, creating more depth there. Let's get, on top of the ball a little bit more, whatever cue you want to use to kind of help create that. And then, when you start thinking of it that way, you start thinking about release point and tunneling and all the pitching ninja stuff that we see, right? Where that ball just looks like it's an overlay, right? But it's two pitches. They look like they're in the same spot until about, 15 feet in front of the plate. And that's why, you're able to get guys to swing and miss on stuff and make them look silly, because they're expecting a two seam to come in, and all of a sudden it's, a slider, way, it's in the left-handed batter's box.
Oh yeah. Well, see, the thing I got to notice in working with Rapsodo during the COVID year, I know I reached out to you a couple times about. I actually bought a Rapsodo, worked on it a ton because I was trying to work on a slider. And what's so cool about the Rapsodo is it wouldn't just say, okay, this is how much movement you have or whatever. It would tell you like release height and where the release point is, so you can see, hey, is this pitch looking just like my fastball? Because if it's not, it kind of defeats the purpose of what I'm doing.
Exactly.
And then speaking on the axis deal, heck, in the 90s or even back before analytics were big when I was a kid and stuff, you might throw a carry four seam and then sweep a breaking ball and wonder why that sweeper always got hit or got took. It's like, well, man, it didn't look like the fastball at any point,
Exactly.
And the kind of the counter argument for analytics and looking at that kind of stuff is, well, some people can't understand it. But to me, it's like, if you're gonna play baseball, if you're gonna enjoy it and get better, you have to study. Just like in school, just like in whatever, whether you like it or not, you've gotta adapt. That's the name of the game. You adapt pitch to pitch, at bat to at bat. Same thing with technology and understanding of the game. So which is kind of a weird way to put it, I guess. But
yeah, exactly. I mean, the game's technology is here to stay. And for the longest time, it was said, oh, it's a fad. It's gonna, it's all gonna wash out. We're gonna get back to, just old school, baseball. But it's here, and it's getting, even more advanced. We got stuff at the big league level now where we're tracking how many feet these guys move, on every play, and they're able to sit there and tell you how many times a guy blinks in a game at this point. Just how crazy some of this data, really what technology can offer us. Even at Rapsodo, we just came out with some new hardware that it allows us not just to track pitching or hitting data, but we're able to do it simultaneously. So you could throw one piece of technology out, or one piece of hardware out there, throw a full scrimmage or a full game, be able to get pitching and hitting data, pair it all up, and then we're able to tell you, hey, the ball's spinning at this much as it gets to the plate, and then from the hitter's perspective, here's where you're catching the ball. So it's not just about how far you're hitting it, but hey, here's where and I guess from the plate depth, right? Are you getting beat? Are you getting out front? And then what pitches are you hitting best in what part of the zone? Just breaking it down even more, and that's just when you think about it that way, that's just scouting reports.
Mm-hmm.
It just has a lot more numbers to it now, like you mentioned. But again, there's people that you said you have to learn. There's just some people that just they're so stuck in their ways, man, that it's just trying to those are the folks that you're not really trying to convince. You're just trying to show them, hey, we're just trying to help. We're not trying to tell somebody or kick somebody out of a job. We're just trying to help people get better.
Oh yeah. Well, and the thing that I'm thinking about too is like it directly tattletales and shows you why this result happened.
Exactly.
Like if you're getting hit around a little bit and you look and it's like, well, the whole shape of my breaking ball is different.
Yep.
Or fastball carry is down 8 inches. I'm doing something weird. Well, then heck, that's a big dead giveaway. If you didn't have that, like for instance, during the 80s and 90s, you're getting hit around, you just think it's location.
Yep.
I think what's cool now is it's not as much location. The more you pitch, the more you realize is how good the stuff is.
Exactly. It's just fooling the hitters, man. It's keeping hitters off balance.
Exactly.
That's all it is. It's just we have more numbers now that help us do that, and it's not just for your academy kids or your high school kids or college kids or even minor league. Like everybody is developing and getting better. If you look at Shohei Ohtani does. You would think there's he has nothing to work on, right? He has nothing to get better. He does everything so well, but he's looked at his numbers and he's been told. This is just stuff that I've read. Nothing with Rapsodo. Throw that out there. We have not worked with Shohei, but if you look at his numbers, he was cutting his fastball real bad. His four seam. Now he throws it 98, 99, 100 miles an hour, and he's got the great splitter, the great slider, and just So he kind of has some room for error there, but if he's going to continue to be Shohei, continue to be, the best athlete we've ever seen in baseball, he has to continue to work. So what has he been doing? Well, he's been working on a sinker, and it's paid dividends for him. He's still pitching very well, but now you go up there, and I can't imagine being a hitter knowing, okay, I already have to face Shohei. He's already got the four seam that I know about, the splitter and the slider. Now I got to worry about is he going to try to throw the sinker in on me, and now there's 4 or 5 different pitches that I'm having to prepare for even when I'm stepping into the box, and again it's just as more information and technology comes out, we just are able to understand more how to help these guys develop and reach that next step.
Yeah, well, see, like I mentioned earlier, I was trying to figure out how to throw a good or a decent out pitch with my slider. And obviously growing up, I was like every kid, threw a curveball.
Yep.
Well, I got to throwing on Rapsodo. I'm trying to throw a curveball as hard as I can. And I'm doing this. I'm supinating it. And then I got to realizing, got to doing some reading and looking at the different types of pitch profiles for different sliders. And I knew I needed depth. And I was thinking, okay, I'm either going to try to gyro it, get perfect. And I'm like, couldn't do that. So what I started doing was just creating a little angle, and trying to stay behind it until the last minute when I started coming out in front. And that was a whole lot less stress on my arm. I say that now I got a cut on my elbow. I could feel it pitch to pitch. It was less stress on my arm than just supinating the ball hard like a curveball, because obviously just anatomy tells you that's terrible for your arm. Some people can do it and pitch a while. Obviously my arm couldn't hold up to it, but it really helped me understand, like, hey, this is what this ball done. What I thought it done was not what it done. A lot of times that gap between us as athletes, we think we're doing something with the ball or with our arm or with our body, and we're not. And then when you got a very high-tech piece of equipment right there telling you, hey, this is what this ball just done. And then when you start making adjustments like, okay, this is what I felt when this done this. Well, let me try this.
Yep.
And that's what's so cool about it. It's not just, okay, I knew I'd done that, because people think they know what they're doing with their body. But when you're moving as fast as you are trying to throw the ball hard, you never know. Some people, I guess, might, but I definitely wasn't that kind of guy.
No, and that's what I love just about the technology that we have is it allows you to do that in one bullpen. You don't have to do 2, 3, 4 sets of pens or a whole bunch of catch play or anything like that. You can sit there and say, well, I'm going to mess around with these different grips today. I'm going to work on these different cues, and I'm going to see how that ball, just how it feels out of my hand, right? Is it doing what I want it to do, to the naked eye? And then do the numbers back it up? And if there's a grip and it's not working for you, it's like, okay, I'm just going to scrap that. There's no reason for me to keep working on that grip because it's not what I need, or that cue or whatever it is. And then talking about, how your body moves, right? There's a great article that just came out in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution about Spencer Strider, right? and how he was coming back from Tommy John. And one of the big things he wanted to do was shorten up his arm path, right? Which is kind of the common thing almost, it seems like now in baseball. And there's a great quote that he had said in there. He was forced to move slower, right? When he comes back from throwing, so because he's forced to move slower, he's able to be more in tune with body positioning, right? Where is he at? And he's like, well, if I want my fastball to do this, putting my body in this position is not going to help me do that. I need to be more efficient here, do this differently. And so now I'm not saying everybody has to go, get TJ or go get hurt in order to move slower, right? But it's about being more just deliberate in practice, right?
Yeah.
And I think it just follows with technology, right? There are some, programs out there. There are some, coaches that they just throw the Rapsodo up there. They put the iPad up and just let the kids throw. And there's not really a lot of feedback or a lot of coaching being done. It's just, well, this is just what we have to have, right? And I hate seeing those things because it's like, man, you have such amazing insights here for any athlete. Again, it could be academy, high school, whatever. Take the time and be deliberate. Like I said, you got the insights there. If you have the time to just help a kid out and help them figure out, hey, you don't have that riding four seam, right? But you could throw a really good sinker. If we just make a couple tweaks here and there, and that might help the kid go from, having to walk on somewhere to maybe getting an offer. You have no idea. And, I just think we're at a day and age now where it's, you have to have technology, so use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you got it, don't just look at it.
Right.
Figure out why you don't have success on whatever pitch it is. Scratch it or try to throw something out. Like I played with a guy in short season a couple years ago. He always wanted to throw a four seam, and he was like, "Man, I throw my four seam hard. I stay getting hit." So he started sinking it and had a bunch of. I mean, obviously he got a bunch of ground balls and stuff. Wasn't swings and misses, but he wasn't getting swings and misses with his four seam either.
Right.
I mean, it kind of turned him into a different pitcher, just saying, hey, I'm done with trying to throw a four seam. I'm going to go two seam sinker, see what happens. And he's had a lot of success with it. And prior to ever hooking up a TrackMan or Rapsodo, which, by the way, Rapsodo is obviously a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
Which is why I bought it. But yeah, and he really understood what was going on, and before wouldn't have been able to. Yeah, it's crazy. And what's cool about the Rapsodo to me is you can sit there and slow, like on your iPad, slow down the video, and then it pairs and gives you your metrics. So you talk with your body, then you get your metrics, and it's like, oh, I've done this with my arm. Elbow got a little higher. I was late breaking my hands or whatever. And then you see the numbers that back it up and say, this is what happened. This is probably because you done this.
Right.
And it's crazy how detailed it is. I'll just say that. I know I keep raving about it, but it has helped me tremendously.
No, that's stories like that, it's what we love to hear. Obviously, Coley, we have a friendship and everything, so I'm always going to root for you and hope you do well. But stories like that, I mean, that's the whole reason why we do what we do. It's not just because it's technology and we have to be here, right? If that was our attitude, we would have gone out of business a long time ago, right? We actually care about not to say that people at our competition don't care either, but there's just a culture really at Rapsodo that we care about the athletes that use our stuff, right? We want all those kids, whether it's getting that, it could be the academy kid, making JV, right, for the first year, that kid going from JV to varsity, the kid on varsity, going from, not being looked at to maybe getting an offer at a, at whatever level, right? I mean, you just keep going up the ladder there. And yeah, it's just cool, man. And that's it's a fun job to be in and, to see those stories and, but still making that impact.
Exactly. So
Justin, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
You made a statement earlier that has stuck with me. I feel like I'm sitting in a master class in baseball and physics and geometry and everything else. So for anybody that's watching or listening to this, this is a college course I'm going through right now. So you guys need to listen to everything they're saying. As Abner Doubleday is right now turning over in his grave, 150 or so years ago when he started baseball, a lot of old heads. That's I'm an old head, for example. I learned how to play baseball a certain way. I see the importance of the computer and the technology and using it in the development of your mechanics and stuff like that. Because I was a pitcher back in the day too. I wish I'd had this kind of stuff. But my question is, with this seismic change that's going on, this directional change, are you running into a lot of blowback, or are a lot of folks that you're coming in contact with excited about this opportunity, this technology to be able to use, or how's that working out for y'all?
Yeah, I would say probably about probably about 5 years ago, it was a lot more resistance than what there is now, and I think it's just because the results speak for themselves. And again, my whole thing with whether it's the old heads or anything like that, no one in analytics or technology or anything is trying to tell someone to kick rocks, or that that their contribution to the game isn't important. No one's trying to sit here and take someone's job, right? No one's trying to sit here and be, oh, well, I could teach, I can be a better pitching coach because I know technology. It's like, no, I could not go out there and be, Mike Maddox. There's no shot. He's got so much knowledge of pitching from, way before technology was a thing. And those are still valuable people to keep around and have around and listen to. I would love to sit down and talk with guys like that to just continue to educate myself. I don't think, again, there's as much resistance now, at least from like when you look at like the macro level of it, like the majority of people, the ones that, this is just my own experience, the ones that give the most resistance are the ones that they're probably the most stubborn people you'll ever talk to in any, whatever. It could be baseball, it could be what they eat for dinner every night, it could be, what TV shows they choose to watch. And I think that's just a character trait. It's not to say that being stubborn is a bad thing. It's just, like with everything, there's levels to it, right? We've all got we've all got our own habits and our own things we're stubborn about, right? But from a baseball perspective, I don't think there's really as much resistance now. And even, the people that you talk to, when you can just, throw up a couple different pitchers or hitters whose careers have changed drastically, just with, technology being a part of their regimen. I just think it's really hard to fight against that.
So I grew up with guys like Nolan Ryan, and I was just thinking, dear God, if that guy would have had this technology, yeah. I always thought they built him in a lab anyway. I didn't think he was human, and I can't imagine if he would have had this, how dominant of a pitcher been.
Right, and I love thinking about that kind of stuff. Like you think about Nolan Ryan, or even go like way back, like Walter Johnson and guys like that, or Bob Feller, go way back to the flamethrowers when like no one threw hard, right?
Yeah,
and what kind of stuff they could have done.
But here's the deal, though, with the kind of technology you guys are talking about, you wouldn't have the 200 and 300 inning guys, though. You just wouldn't have.
No,
those guys could have pitched for 35 years at the rate they're on pitch counts now.
Right. And that's just, again, how baseball is just, it's always changing. This is not just like, oh, this is, going to stick around for a couple years and then we're not going to hear from it again. I just think the emphasis and what we understand about it is just going to continue to change. And there are things that, even now that we're still, learning about, and it's, there's a lot more, people that are a lot more smarter than me, breaking down a lot more of the physics of it, that are figuring out a lot more things about, pitching and just even how like different grips will affect different pitches, or just how how the seams are oriented, right? It's just crazy stuff.
Yeah, I thought I knew a lot about baseball till you two started talking.
I don't know enough.
So Rapsodo, I know, has golf, correct? How many other sports do they interpret or work through? Does tennis, or is tennis part? It's not tennis.
No, so it's diamond sports, so baseball and softball, and then golf. Those are the three sports that we work in, which makes it really fun because you don't have these, you're not trying to figure out, or you don't have like a bunch of different, factions in the office where there's all these different sports going on. It's pretty much two different, groups of people But we all love the same sports for the most part, so we can all sit there and we'll all watch, any a PGA Tour event or they'll watch the World Series or anything like that. Like we'll always have something on that everybody's going to be, everyone's got a rooting interest in some way, but then just everyone has a passion for the sports.
Yeah, from like a sales point of view, I don't know if you know this off the top of your head. Do you think baseball is by far the biggest when it comes to purchasing and using Rapsodo, or does golf and softball come close, or is it?
Yeah, that's a tough one because it really depends on what you're looking at. Because golf, we focus a lot more on like individual users, right? It's your own personal launch monitor that you can take out to the range and get your numbers, and it's a lot cheaper than some of the other options that are out there. So when you think about just like individuals out there, I would say golf has a really good base. Whereas baseball and softball, obviously, we're focusing more on teams, right? So there's going to be probably more people using from the diamond sports side just because the teams are bigger. So it really just depends on what you're looking at. I think it's but I think regardless, we have a really passionate following. People that use our stuff are you'll see them out on Twitter talking, putting their numbers up, putting their videos up. And that's just again part of what I love seeing is like I'll go on and just go on Twitter and look up our account, just look at all the people that are sending in their videos and all that stuff. So it's fun and it's again just being able to continue to provide data, technology, video to athletes just trying to get better, regardless if it's baseball, softball, or golf.
And what I guess it's just a statement, but what I've noticed is if you go through and just search Rapsodo and stuff, I've seen a couple articles that you have written on there, and if you have a Rapsodo and you're not reading those articles and just soaking up everything that's said and trying to figure out more information on the stuff, you're pretty you're missing out because there's a lot of really good pieces of information out there to
yeah. And we even made our whole certified courses based on that. So with our stuff, like you have a annual membership, right? That obviously gives you access to all the data and all the analytics, but also those certifications, right? So you're able to go through those courses, and it really breaks down not just like giving you a definition of what a certain measurement is, but also how to interpret it. And any coach that goes through that has Rapsodos on the membership, it's free. It's part of your membership. Go on, watch those. You can watch them and take the course as many times as you want. It's that's the biggest thing I think where we're at with technology and analytics and all that now is it's become much more commonplace. So everybody kind of understands, for the most part, kind of the definitions. It's what do we do with the data now? Like, how do we interpret it? How do we help these players get better quicker? And that's really where I think the next step is going to be is, getting more of that information out there.
Yeah. Well, that's what's cool is like I could see somebody from a general public standpoint, like, okay, I'm working with my son on pitching or hitting or whatever, but I don't really understand this. Well, Rapsodo is giving you the information so you can understand it. So there's no excuse for saying, well, I just don't understand it. I'm not going to get into it, which is
right.
all, considering where we're at with all of this. So
exactly. Well, it's like you have any other question that you don't know the answer to. What do? You get your phone out and you Google it, right? It's the same kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Well, Justin, you and Kobe could talk for the next 6 hours on this because you guys are locked in right now. But it would be a disservice to Rapsodo to do that. So tell everybody how they can find out more about Rapsodo and how they can contact you, your contact information, social media, whatever.
Sure. Yeah. So Rapsodo, we're really easy to find on the internet. It's just rapsodo.com. So RAPSODO. Twitter is the same handle at Rapsodo. That's going to be for baseball. And then we have Rapsodo softball and Rapsodo golf. So that's all social media. Same thing with Twitter, Instagram. So if you guys have Rapsodo, if you have the mobile launch monitor and you want to put your video out there, tag the golf team, send in those videos. We love seeing that kind of stuff. With me, I'm always down to talk baseball, whether it's pitching, hitting, and if we want to talk about data and technology and kind of where the sport's going and all that. I'm always always down for that. Doesn't matter who you are. So my DMs are open on Twitter. It's just J_AGUIAR_, and that's on Twitter. If you have questions, if you see something on a game, or you hear some broadcaster bring up a certain measurement, you don't really understand that much about it, and you remember this podcast, and you want to, hey, there's that one guy that was from Rapsodo that might know something. Shoot me a DM.
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to talk.
Yeah, that guy that came on Brushing Them Back with Kobe White and presented a master class.
You got
you got one more farm before you get out of here?
Sorry?
I said, Kobe, you got one more farm before you get out of here?
I was going.
Oh.
He's got a good bit of red.
Kobe got tired of talking to us. He done turned the phone off.
No, you hear me?
Yeah, you good. Go ahead.
Okay, I was about to say, whether Justin knows or not, he's got a bunch of rednecks from Marion County, Mississippi, hearing a bunch of Rapsodo stuff. So.
No worries. The one thing about me is, if you're on Twitter, just be ready for me to tweet out. Just if Colby does something crazy, I'm going to quote tweet and just say weird. That's my calling card for all my guys that I worked with at State. So just be prepared for that.
Oh yeah. Well, Justin, we appreciate you coming on, man. I know you got a lot of time to work on obviously other stuff than be on our podcast, but we surely appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, Colby, it's good seeing you, dude. We'll be in touch. Get that ankle taken care of and get that arm healed up. All right.
Sounds good, man.
All right. Appreciate
Justin,
you
can't
guys.
thank you enough, brother. With every episode, I keep telling people I know stuff about baseball, and then I have an episode like this, I feel like an idiot now. So
no worries. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you again, Justin. For our audio listeners, we'll be headed to a couple of commercial breaks. And for our YouTube audience, we will see you guys live next Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. Have a good evening.
Awesome.